Looking back at his performances in The Five Bloods, The Harder They Fall, Devotion, and Loki Season 1, to even looking forward to his upcoming roles in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and Creed 3, watching Magazine Dreams was a solidifying factor in me saying that Jonathan Majors might just be the best working actor today. Magazine Dreams follows a black amateur bodybuilder struggling to find human connection in his exploration of celebrity and violence. It's premiering at the Sundance Film Festival this year, and though it doesn't have an official release date, I got the chance to see it and I have thoughts. Hey guys, welcome back to the video. In this video, you guys, my spoiler-free review for Magazine Dreams. Now, though this movie doesn't have a release date, let me know if you're excited for it in the comments down below, because as I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, Jonathan Majors is one of the best up-and-coming actors, but at this point, I wouldn't even be considering him up-and-coming because he's just done so many amazing projects and proved himself time and time again. And of course, before we get into it, if you guys are new in here and you enjoy all my movie and TV show reviews, reactions, and breakdowns, make sure to subscribe and notifications on so you don't miss anytime I upload a new video or go live. Both are wasting more time. Let's get into it. Going into this movie, I knew little to nothing about it. All I knew is that Jonathan Majors plays an amateur bodybuilder, and going in with that information, I was still very excited because it's Jonathan Majors. He's one of my favorite working actors right now. What Jonathan Majors brings to this movie is absolutely insane. His by far best performance, but I'll get to the acting later. I want to start off by talking about this absolutely insane and very thrilling story that encapsulates you right from the very beginning. The main themes that this movie really covers is passion, addiction, and connection. And I definitely feel like I connected to those themes a lot. Definitely not on the level that this movie was portraying it at for our main character, but I still felt like I understood those themes of passion and addiction and just being so obsessed with something that you want to just do it. And obviously that's what causes the downfall of this character. Now, I absolutely love this story, but I also feel like at times it didn't really do justice to these themes. What I mean by that is, though I really enjoyed where this story went and overall I really liked the movie, I feel like they don't necessarily dive into the themes of addiction and connection enough. It's a very surface level thing. And on the other hand, the stuff that they talk about with passion, I feel like that goes a lot harder. And that's obviously the theme at the forefront. He's an amateur bodybuilder. All he wants to do is succeed. But when you have all these other themes that are super intriguing, but you barely dive into it, that is a little bit disappointing. But as for like the storytelling throughout this movie, that's my favorite part of it. I really love the evolution of this story and how it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier and just shit goes wild. And it's so great because you see that evolution and it feels so natural. It feels like this character is deserving of this evolution and where the story is going. None of it really feels out of nowhere, and you really get to understand the psyche of this character and why he's doing the things that he's doing. And the reasonings, the stories, and the connections to other characters are really great. Like I said, it's a character study. So Jonathan Majors is the only one that's really at the forefront of it. There are side characters that are good. They have an amazing impact on the story. But again, if Jonathan Majors wasn't at the core of this being as good as he was, this movie would not be near as great as it is. A storytelling thing that I instantly connected it to was Whiplash. It has a very Whiplash-esque evolution in terms of where the story is going and how it evolves and just how crazy it gets by the end. A lot of problems I've been seeing with the movie that people have online is that the second half really just, it takes it to a whole other level and it feels very sudden for a lot of people. But for me, I really enjoyed the way that they took it from piece to piece and let the story evolve and added in new problems or new solutions at certain times because it felt like it was a proper evolution for this character. I checked the time and what timestamp I was at for the movie, and I had like 40 minutes left, so I was a little over halfway done with the movie, and I still didn't feel a major tone shift. Now, I will say the resolution of this movie is going to be very divisive, and that's just because going into the third act, the decisions that are made, the storytelling choices that we kind of witness, I feel like those things a lot of people might think are just too surface level and a little bit too basic for the intense and insane story that we had before, because I will agree with them on this. The first like 2 acts of this movie are very like low, slow burn, and it's a very emotional punch. And yes, there are super intense moments and very uncomfortable moments, but the tone switch in the third act itself, it definitely feels like a different movie. I think it evolved really well, but I could definitely see why people think it's such a major tone switch and why they didn't really like how it transformed throughout the film. But again, I think that it was really well done. With that being said, I still do think it was a big tone switch. I just think it worked in regards to where the story was going. My big thing in this movie that helped it keep consistent all around and actually helped keep an evolution story working and going steady and not speeding up too much or slowing down too much at its core is Jonathan Majors. The acting in this movie is phenomenal. I think this is by far Jonathan Majors' best performance. And I put this in my Letterboxd review and I want to sit with it for a little bit longer. And when this movie officially releases, I'm going to go ahead and rewatch it. But I think this is one of my favorite performances of all time. It's not my like 100% favorite, but I would put it in like, if someone asked me what are some movies that have just amazing performances, I'm saying Magazine Dreams. I think the movie is flawed in its pacing. I think the movie is flawed in some of its storytelling and just the way that they go about expressing themes. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Jonathan Majors puts on an absolute acting clinic here. He does so much with this script. And I definitely feel like a lot of the other side characters, I feel like they were pretty misused in some regards. I think his grandpa was an absolutely amazing character, and he has a very limited insertion into the movie. Like, he's not in the movie too much, but his impact is felt, right? But with these other characters, a lot of them I didn't really feel like they were used to their best potential in regards to influencing the story and actually giving us as much as they could have with their with their performances and stuff like that. But Jonathan Majors does so much with just his acting alone. I think it makes up for a lot of flaws that this movie does have. And the final thing I want to talk about when it comes to the Magazine Dreams is how this movie is just technically masterful. I love movies that are just very grounded in the camera work. And yes, this movie has some crazy shots that are super cool and do some amazing work in terms of just shoving us right into the story through the technical aspects. But a lot of this story just has simple camera work and it conveys the emotions, and it has very cool little flares at moments to make certain moments more unique than others. And I think it complements the story so well. One of my favorite things about this movie is just the way that they use lighting, especially towards the end of the movie. Once you guys see the movie, you'll understand. There's this one shot with just strobing lights, and they do such a great thing in terms of like the storytelling. Again, I don't want to get into too much detail because I feel like I could very easily spoil it here, because obviously he's a bodybuilder. Light is very important at bodybuilding shows and showing off the muscle that you have and stuff like that. And so they use those lighting techniques really well to properly portray how these characters are feeling, whether it's super crazy warm lights in these different shows that the bodybuilders are at, or it's super cold tones at night. At the end of the day, I really love Magazine Dreams, but I don't think everyone will. I think it'll end up being one of the more divisive movies of the year. It's such an intense film, and then I feel like at the end, some people might not like the ending or the resolutions, and so I feel like people will all agree that Jonathan Majors puts on an amazing performance, but they might just not be fans of the story. For me personally, I'm gonna give Magazine Dreams an 8 out of 10. I absolutely love this movie, and I'm super excited for all of you to be able to check it out. Let me know if you guys are excited for Magazine Dreams in the comments down below. But that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.